Welcome to this first lesson on lighting with EEVEE in Blender 4.2. In this quick introduction, we'll go over how EEVEE calculates light. In comparison to cycles, EEVEE is super fast and efficient. That's because EEVEE is a real-time render engine designed for speed and interactivity. EEVEE uses a technique called rasterization to approximate each pixel of your image. This process uses a bunch of technical shortcuts and pre-computed data, making it a lot faster than actual path tracing, but also way less accurate. So let's break down the steps involved in how this works. EEVEE starts with light sources in your scene similar to cycles. These include point lights, spotlights, and area lights. Emissive materials don't work inside of EEVEE, the same for HDRIs, and can only be traced within the camera bounds using a technique called screen trace rendering, but more on that later. All the other actual lights function similarly to how they do within cycles. Now, first of all, each light casts rays that interact with the objects in your scene. And as I said, unlike cycles, EEVEE uses a technique called rasterization, which means that instead of tracing rays, it approximates how light interacts with surfaces using screen space effects, basically tracing everything within your camera bounds. And it uses these effects and pre-computed data to do so. With 4.2, the EEVEE render engine has been completely rewritten to include something called ray casting. Now, I'll cover this deeper later in the next lesson, but you can effectively compare this with the RTX on, RTX off visuals that have been going around for years in video games. Shadows in EEVEE are created using shadow maps. These are textures that store information about which parts of your scene are in shadow, calculated from the perspective of each light source. Simply put, all your shadows are effectively an image that Blender creates in real time. EEVEE also supports volumetric lighting, allowing for realistic effects like fog, smoke, and light beams. It calculates how light scatters through these volumes to enhance the atmosphere of your scene, although it's a lot less realistic and flexible than Cycles does. To add depth and realism, EEVEE uses something called ambient occlusion, or AO. AO simulates how light is blocked by nearby objects, creating subtle shadows in corners and creases. This is something that comes by default in Cycles as a result of the path tracing. You can control various settings in EEVEE, such as the quality of shadows, volumetrics, and lighting to optimize performance and visual fidelity. We'll go over how to do this in depth in the next lesson in this chapter. And that's a quick overview of how light is calculated in Blender EEVEE. With EEVEE, you can achieve high-quality renders in real time, perfect for animations, previews, and interactive projects. Now let's dive into the amazing properties of EEVEE's completely rewritten EEVEE Next render engine, available since Blender 4.2.